Hey everybody, it's Marshall. I wanted to do another thing of the moment video while I'm trying to figure out my video schedule, so let's just do it. This weekend, I saw Suicide Squad with Tegan and our kid, and it was fun. Um, know that a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on it, but it sort of fulfilled the baseline that I expected of it, which is it was entertaining. So that's good. Um, I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, you don't have to think about it too much. I usually overthink everything, but sometimes it's not a bad thing. Sometimes that adds to it. Uh, I think that on the negative side, I did want more of an overall, excuse me, more of an overall message or narrative to it. And there sort of was one, but um, I think I wanted it to tie it together better at the end. And if you continue down that road, there's a lot of things you can take apart. There are some things that were pretty easy to see coming, some little twists in the middle. But I think that there was some things that they did very well. Um, and I'll say this: I think it sets it apart. This movie kind of sets apart from other recent DC stuff because I feel like they're actually trying to tell a story. Like it's the kind of comic story you would see in DC Comics. You would see an arc of 4 to 6 issues of a comic, and it would be done. You'd go on to another writer or whatever. A writer has an idea and says, I want to do this, and I want to take this spin on this character that I've been wanting to do, and maybe this character hasn't been seen that way lately, but I want to do this and that, and treat this element this way and highlight this part of this character's past. And it kind of did that. It took a stance on characters. Like, you know, the Joker looked like Macaulay Culkin and acted like Jim Carrey, but it was kind of interesting. It kind of made me pause and think a bit. But you can say anything you want about Jared Leto's, like, how good he is as an actor. Um, Whatever. But the result was not boring. So there you go. But even things like the Joker's henchmen were pretty cool. Like, they're just in all sorts of funny outfits and suits and masks, and it was different. I hadn't seen that sort of imagery in a movie with Joker's henchmen before, and it kind of colored the whole story around him. I thought Waller was handled pretty dang well. I think that in general, the actress did that. The actor that did that did a really good job. So I was pretty pleased with that. Just to see them hit the mark some of the time with that character is still a big deal because it's such an important character in the comics and in the animated series in the last 10-20 years. It was really important to get some of that essential character because that uh, her character sort of is the premise. It's the part that brings it all together with all this disparate cast of weirdos. So I think that was strong. It could have been stronger, but it was strong enough. And I think Harley Quinn was handled pretty fun as a character. I like that they incorporated her acrobatics into it. They talked about her past as a psychiatrist, which was cool. Um, Without giving too much away, she is shown to have some conflicting emotions about the Joker and that relationship. And I think they explored it with uh, some nuance, with some level of nuance. And I know that a lot of people were disappointed with the ending. As far as she's concerned, I don't think it needs to be seen in that light. I know that a lot of people who are in abusive situations, it's hard to leave. She obviously goes through a lot of that in the story, but I don't think the ending point of the movie is the ending point of her character's story and all that. In fact, if there is a sequel and she's in it, then, we might see a totally new direction. But I think that the fact that they went there at all was really cool and added some depth and some poignancy. I think that they took the time to take some poignant moments and put them in. Obviously, not with every character. Some of them were pretty cardboard, two dimensional, but there was a lot of depth otherwise. And they did some cool things with Diablo. I picked up the first run of Diablo when it came out on DC, and I really liked it. This character is almost entirely different, but that's okay. They did have the origin story sort of right, and the reluctant hero thing right. And I actually think that what is revealed about his character towards the end added to the mythology of the whole movie in ways that I kept thinking about later on. And that was kind of a cool accomplishment, for a movie that was supposed to be a throwaway movie. I started getting a little more invested in the mythos that is sort of revealed by this movie. And I just like that they took some visual and stylistic choices that I didn't expect to see. And so that was fun. I know that it could have been a stronger story. There's a lot of things that could be stronger, but I respect that they kind of took some risks and um, got playful with it. Got playful with these characters because that's the whole point. Just take some risks, some visual ones. Well, they could have maybe done a few more story wise risks, but there was enough there to sort of sink your teeth into. Deadshot was pretty good. Will Smith did a pretty good job. He was a little too Will Smithy here and there for me. Um, like I could kind of separate like this is Deadshot, and then I'm like, oh, okay, well, Will Smith needs a few lines, and we're gonna let him riff for a while, and I'm like, okay, but it took me out of it for a bit. But these are kind of what you expect with Will Smith. Um, he's really good, and he likes to do his own thing too. So, you know, um, yeah, that's my stance. It was fun, and it took some risks and some stances, and did something visually that you don't always see. The soundtrack was fun. So I think it's worth seeing just as an interesting spectacle, and you will see some things that you wouldn't otherwise see in a large comic book movie. So, yeah, if you do have history with abuse or problems watching anything having to do with abuse in relationships, I would stay away or try to get more information about what you're going to see, because it's not great. It's not pretty. Um, but yeah, that's my disclaimer on that. Otherwise, you should more or less know what you're getting into. You're watching some villains fight and sometimes die to complete an objective that they don't want to complete for very dubious rewards, and I kind of like that concept. Okay, I'm gonna head out. This ran longer than I wanted to, but yeah, you have a good night. And Myrtle here says good night also. She's hiding. Okay, bye.